No signal, no filter. Mia Chang crouched in the middle of a mossy trail, nose buried in her phone, thumbs flying like she was defusing a digital bomb. All around her, ancient pines stood tall, their needles whispering secrets to the breeze, secrets she wasn't hearing. Her hiking boots, barely scuffed, dug awkwardly into the dirt path as she hunched closer to her screen, trying to force a signal out of thin air. Behind her, Tara hopped nimbly across a cluster of stones by a bubbling stream, arms stretched wide for balance. She breathed deep, face lifted toward the dappled sunlight. Her laughter echoed lightly through the clearing as a butterfly landed on her sleeve. "We're supposed to be forest bathing, Mia," Tara called, voice tinged with amusement and just a hint of exasperation. "Not signal chasing." Mia didn't look up. "My app needs bug testing. I'm already behind on the beta release. And I need you to touch some grass, literally." Tara bent down, plucked a sprig of wild mint, and sniffed it with delight. "This is your disconnect to reconnect weekend, remember?" Mia sighed and jammed her charger into the port, glancing around as the shadows deepened. The screen flickered once, then flashed a warning. Low battery. She blinked. No bars, no Wi-Fi, no network. She held her phone up to the sky like a sacrificial offering. Nothing. Dead silent forest. Dead silent phone. Her digital lifeline had flatlined. The brochure had called it Disconnect to Reconnect, a weekend retreat high in the Cascades designed to force overstimulated city folk into nature's awkward embrace. Mia had laughed when Tara booked it. She'd cried when she realized Tara wasn't joking, and now she's screaming, internally, of course, when her phone gasped its last breath and the charger went on strike. She and Tara endured the 2-hour drive to get here, but it seems her best friend is driving another 2 hours to return home earlier than expected. An emergency family situation warranted her attention, so much so that the retreat organizer even had to send someone to fetch her from their starting point. For Mia, it was the best excuse to get back to reality, but Tara protested. "Go anyway," she'd insisted. "Can't go wasting your hard-earned money. They don't do refunds. Besides, it might be good for you to detox from your screen and your startup." Mia had glared. Detox? From Wi-Fi? Now she was hiking up a slippery path in yoga pants she hadn't used for yoga since 2018, lugging a backpack that definitely wasn't cute enough for this much suffering. By the time she reached the wooden sign that read Spruce Whisper Lodge, check in, she was drenched in sweat and existential dread. Inside the main cabin, a cheerful woman with silver braids and an herbal smell greeted her. "You must be Mia," the woman beamed. "Welcome to your unplugged paradise." "I think there's been a mistake," Mia said, clutching her phone like a wounded bird. "My charger's not working and I really need—" "Nope," the woman said. "No signal, no filter, remember? That's our motto." Before Mia could protest, a tall, slightly disheveled guy walked in, shaking rain from his jacket. "Ryan, this is Mia. You two are cabin buddies for the weekend." Ryan looked up from his thermos, eyebrows raising just enough to register the situation. He was all scruff and sarcasm, like a lumberjack who moonlighted as a stand-up comic. Mia's jaw tightened. "We're what?" "Cabin buddies," the woman repeated, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "You'll be sharing cabin 8, coziest one we've got. Wood stove, big windows, mountain view, great for reflection and personal growth." Mia blinked, then looked at Ryan, who offered a lopsided shrug and a sip of his tea, as if to say, "Not my idea either." Her brain screamed, "stranger danger," but all that came out was, "Isn't there another option? A different cabin? A private yurt? A hammock strung between 2 trees?" The woman, her name tag read Fern, chuckled warmly. "I totally get it, hun. New places, new people, weird vibes. But I promise, Ryan is vetted. Like, really vetted. He's done 3 retreats, never once creeped anyone out. I've seen him help an 83-year-old man get back up the trail and make a mean nettle pesto. Ryan raised his thermos. Guilty. Basil was out of season. Fern leaned in, lowering her voice like she was sharing state secrets. And just between us, he always brings his own toilet paper, the soft kind. That's how you know a man's soul. Mia snorted despite herself. Fern smiled like a woman who'd just won the round. You don't have to be besties, just cabin mates. And if you're ever uncomfortable, I'm 5 steps away with chamomile tea and a couch that's heard everything, deal? Mia looked at Ryan, who had already turned to stoke the wood stove in the corner, quietly giving her space, and then back at Fern, who had the steady gaze of someone who could talk you down from a ledge with nothing but a mug of tea and a honey spoon. Fine, Mia muttered, but I'm sleeping with one eye open. Totally fair, Fern said. That's how I survived marriage. Their cabin was small, creaky, and annoyingly picturesque. 1 bunk bed, 1 bathroom, no Wi-Fi, not even a mirror, just a wooden sign above the sink that read, "Look inward." You've got to be kidding me, Mia whispered, glaring at the top bunk like it had personally betrayed her. Relax, Ryan said, tossing his gear onto the bottom bunk. You can have the top. I've already bonded with the lower mattress. We're in a committed relationship. Mia narrowed her eyes. Do you always talk like you're auditioning for a dry comedy special? Only when I'm trapped in the woods with someone who looks like she's trying to find the exit button on reality. She ignored him, or tried to. But then came the storm. Thunder cracked across the sky that night, rattling the little cabin like a tin can. Rain hammered the roof like it had a personal vendetta. Mia sat upright, eyes wide. Storm's rolling in, Ryan said from the bunk below, voice sleep rough and calm. You okay up there? I'm fine, she lied. A long silence. Then, you ever camped before? Does brunch on a rooftop count? He snorted. Figures. She shifted in her sleeping bag. So what's your deal, anyway? You live out here just to troll city people? He yawned. I'm a naturalist. I lead wilderness treks, teach survival skills, occasionally rescue lost tech-addicted humans who think GPS can replace common sense. Mia bristled. I am common sense. I built an app that tracks people's stress levels based on their phone usage and prompts them to log off. Wow, Ryan said, the sarcasm turned up to 11. An app that tells people to use their phone to stop using their phone. That's poetic. You wouldn't get it. Try me. So she told him. About working 80-hour weeks. About investors breathing down her neck. About always being on, like a light switch no one remembered to turn off. When she finished, he didn't say anything for a while, just listened. Sounds like you built a panic button for a world that doesn't know how to breathe, he finally said. You ever try letting go? Letting go is for people with nothing to lose, he hummed, or for people with too much to carry. By the second day, something strange happened. Without her phone, Mia noticed things. The way the pine trees whispered when the wind passed through. How Ryan made perfect coffee in a dented tin pot and whistled old rock songs off-key. The color of the sky just before a fresh downpour. Steel blue with a stubborn hint of hope. They went hiking together, mostly because Ryan insisted she'd get eaten by a bear if she went alone. At first, it was torture. Mud, mosquitoes, existential dread. Then, she started to laugh. Not just polite giggles, but belly-deep, face-scrunching, tear-inducing laughter. Ryan was relentless, teasing, challenging, occasionally profound in the way people are when they're not trying to be. Do you ever miss it? She asked during one quiet moment, watching birds wheel over a misty ridge. The noise, the buzz, the apps. He shook his head. I like my connections face to face. Uncurated. Messy. She nodded, then caught herself checking her wrist for a smartwatch that wasn't there. Ryan grinned. Phantom tech. Happens to the best of us. That night, they sat on the porch wrapped in blankets, sharing a bar of emergency chocolate and trading stories. Mia told him about her first failed startup, a dating app called Swipestalgia that matched people based on shared high school music tastes. Ryan howled. So, basically, emo kids dating each other in 2022? Exactly. It tanked, she said, grinning. He told her about the time he got lost on a solo camping trip in Alaska and had to barter granola for directions from a grumpy bush pilot. You've had a weird life, she said, eyes shining. You too. Their fingers brushed. Neither pulled away. Another storm passed overnight, leaving behind a world rinsed clean. Mia stepped outside barefoot, dew soaking into her socks, and for the first time in years, she didn't reach for her phone. Instead, she watched the sunrise. Ryan joined her, holding 2 steaming mugs. This is the part people always forget, he said, handing her one. The silence after the storm. It's like the earth exhales. She turned to him. I don't want to go back. He looked at her, eyes serious now. Then don't. But she had to. The real world didn't pause just because she found a cabin with a view and a guy who smelled like cedar and made her laugh until her stomach hurt. I have a launch, she said softly. People are counting on me. He nodded. Then go do your thing. But remember this. Connection isn't about cables or screens. It's what's left when everything else drops out. Back in Seattle, the city buzzed like a beehive of ambition. Mia plugged in her phone, opened a dozen apps, answered 174 emails. Her inbox was a battlefield. Investors needed her. Beta testers had questions. Her app was trending. And yet all she could think about was dew-soaked socks and the sound of someone whistling badly beneath a canopy of stars. She made the launch. It was a hit, but something felt off. So she coded one more update, just a quiet little Easter egg, buried deep in the app. It sent a single push notification to 10,000 users. You don't need a signal to connect. Step outside. Look up. Someone's waiting. Nearly 2 weeks later, Mia hiked back up the familiar trail, this time with sturdy boots, a decent thermos of coffee, and the gnawing suspicion that she might have made the single dumbest decision of her life. The cabin looked just as she'd left it, except it was empty. No flannel draped over the chair, no boots by the door, no half-drunk mug of tea with mysterious floating herbs. Her chest tightened. She rushed to reception, pushing through the door like she was storming a boardroom. Fern, where's Ryan? Fern, calm as ever behind the counter, looked up from a jar of lavender tea. Left 2 days ago. The words hit like a power outage. Do you have his address? Fern shook her head. Just a P.O. box. Oh, but he did leave a cell number. Mia blinked. A cell number? Ryan swore he'd rather write letters by candlelight than own a phone. Fern grinned. Bought one the day after you left. Asked me for the lodge's Wi-Fi password. That tugged a smile out of her. Figures. What did he need Wi-Fi for? To text you, I imagine. But you never answered. I didn't get... Mia stopped mid-sentence. She had ignored an unknown number last week. Fern leaned forward. Want to call him? Mia crossed her arms, fighting the blush creeping up her cheeks. What happened to no signal, no filter? We turn the signal on for emergencies, Fern said, smirking. And from where I'm standing, you and Ryan's future counts. Before Mia could reply, Fern slid the phone toward her and quietly stepped out. Mia stared at the number. Her thumb hovered, hesitated, then tapped. It rang. Hello? The voice was warm, low, familiar enough to turn her knees to jello. Is this Ryan the off-grid hermit, or Ryan the modern man with a phone? A chuckle. Depends. Who's asking? Mia Chang. You may remember me from such classics as The Girl Who Abandoned You at a Lodge. Oh, I remember. I was planning my revenge, something poetic, possibly involving squirrels. She laughed, the tension melting. You bought a phone. You left. I had to adapt. Adapt? Or stalk me? Can it be both? He teased. Besides, I figured if you ever came to your senses, I should be reachable. There was a pause, long enough for her to feel the thump of her own heart. Well, she said softly, I came back. And? No signal, she whispered, smiling, but a strong connection. He laughed. You're terrible at pickup lines. And yet you're still answering my call. Only because I want to see how bad your in-person ones are. Then you'd better get ready. I'm still at Spruce Whisper. Cabin's empty without you, she said, her voice soft but steady. He didn't miss a beat. Give me 2 hours, and keep the signal on. There was a pause on the other end, the faint sound of wind, boots crunching on gravel. That's funny, Ryan said slowly, because I'm looking at the cabin right now. Her brow furrowed. What? Turn around, Mia. She spun so fast she nearly dropped the phone. There he was, walking up the path, flannel shirt open over a faded t-shirt, hair wind-tossed, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. He looked like the wilderness had tried to keep him but failed spectacularly. You? She took a step forward, phone still in her hand. You said you were 2 hours away. Yeah, I lied, he said, stopping just close enough for her to see the glint in his eyes. Left 2 days ago to find you in the city. Found out you were coming back here, so I turned around. Her throat tightened. You came back? Of course I did. He reached out, gently pressing her phone hand down until it hung at her side. No signal, remember? I'm more of an in-person kind of guy. And before she could say another word, he closed the distance, cupping her face with wind-chilled hands, and kissed her. No hashtags, no filters, just the echo of the forest around them, the smell of pine and wood smoke, and the kind of connection that didn't need a single bar. The generating.